As MMORPG players usually find, there's always some downtime between finding a new favorite MMO or even content. Maybe you're a person waiting for New World or the new WoW expansion Shadowlands. Maybe you're just painfully bored of the AFKing in today's MMORPG world. Fear not though, in this video I'll be giving you my personal picks on the best non-MMORPG PvP games to scratch an MMORPG itch. And who knows, you may find something you like. This is a series I'll be doing. I've got games lined up from all different kinds of MMORPG player archetypes, from PvP to PvE, farming, and more. Just let me know in the comments if there's any suggestions I should also add to the series. One last thing, there is no game on this list that is without its problems. I'm merely looking for solutions to PvP players to get their fix in a convenient way, and without much further ado, let's get into it. So, SMITE. Most of us have played MOBAs by now, and with the explosion of League of Legends a few years back, and Dota 2 still being a big part of that genre, I find that there are very few MOBAs that capture the essence of PvP in an MMORPG better than SMITE. SMITE is definitely a little different. Players that just want to hop in and fight can definitely do that in SMITE without having to go far into learning the mechanics of the actual 5v5 mode that's found in most MOBAs. You can hop right into an arena, pick a god, and have some legitimate fun. Drawbacks to this include the fact that it is still a MOBA. In most cases you'll still need to buy items and level up skills, but it has its own unique camera view that makes it feel a little more like an MMO than many other MOBAs. If you do want the full experience of a MOBA though with SMITE, it does have a unique style and you can by all means go ahead. But it's also one of the easier MOBAs to get into, to just purely fight without much else to think about based on what you choose. Next up is BATTLERITE. This game is a small download, easy to get into, and has some depth to it for sure, and is based almost entirely around pummeling the enemy team before they pummel you. It is basically pure PvP in the sense, and it's actually quite fun. The game has a 2v2 arena and a 3v3 arena, so just like SMITE, you can bring in some of your friends and have some party fun. It also has an assortment of characters to choose from, so it's definitely worth looking into. It has a top-down view, which may not be everybody's cup of tea. Sometimes it feels like you're just whacking air, but this is due to the fact that pretty much every skill is a skill shot. The game does provide a good amount of fun in small, good PvP filled matches, and really good players do shine in this type of environment. The art style is very clear, and some characters have really charming personalities or quirks. Not exactly a bucket load of lore, so don't come in expecting that, but something to put a little extra edge to what you're playing. The games are often quite short, most of them lasting less than 10 minutes, so it gives players without bucket loads of time to sink into long League or SMITE games the flexibility to play a few rounds before work, school, or whatever you have going on. And now we come to something a little different. For Honor is basically what happens when you make a multiplayer fighting game that goes beyond the traditional 1v1 left side, right side, 2D, 3D, whatever style. It has an array of mechanics to learn, everything from parrying, riposting, guard breaking, attacks, and much more. You can fit in some spicy roleplay as well.
We will take Jerusalem! Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult.
I apologize for that. For Honor does have unique characters and abilities, special modes, and it feels very different to many things on the market today. One of For Honor's biggest allures is the feel of being a knight, Roman centurion, or many other fighters from all over history. The Vikings up north, to the Chinese and Japanese empires, it has something for everyone that enjoys swordplay based PvP. There are many other weapons though based on what characters you decide to play, and the game does have its issues, but I personally feel like it may be one of the better games for a player that's just looking for a PvP based MMORPG experience, but without the MMORPG part, that may also enjoy, fighting games. There is a little bit of something for everyone here, and it can definitely be an enjoyable experience that tests a skilled PvPer's ability. My personal favorite is combining the mechanics into a mind-gamey playstyle that allows me to bait my opponents into parries that give me the upper hand. I've played this game when it was released and it was riddled with bugs. It seems to be in a much better place now, but I'm not 100% about that, and with a lot more characters to choose from. So I've sunk quite a few hours into this game, and I will always look back on them fondly. Now you can slightly compare Mordhau and For Honor, but the big difference is For Honor focuses a lot more on the ability to fight 1 vs 1, has the mechanics hard built into the game, you can be outplayed, ganged up on, and absolutely destroyed. Mordhau, on the other hand, is a game I'd go to if I wanted the full medieval experience. If you're looking for a group PvP for up to 64 players in one area, people screaming and running around, swinging weapons wildly, and a full experience of a chaotic medieval battle with the ability to group together with your teammates and do crazy tactics like shield walls, archery and such, look no further than Mordhau. As I said, I don't think there is any other game that has a complete medieval battle experience. This game has less single player mechanics than For Honor, but by far has much better group content. If you have a tactical mind, enjoy chaos in general, or want to gather a few friends, build a small army, and dominate the medieval area, this is the game for you. It's much less of a solo game, and it definitely has its downsides, but it is perhaps one of the most fun looking games out there on this list, at least, if you can look past the graphical issues. If you wanted to roleplay a knight, ride a horse into PvP, shoot someone with a crossbow from on top of a unique map, if you can think of it happening in a medieval battle, chances are Mordhau will find a way to allow you to do that. Deus Vult. So, I was debating keeping this game off this list, but I decided against it. Most of us know Ark. You're stuck on an island, you tame dinosaurs, you survive, you build your base, and so on. The game has a good combination of PvP and PvE elements, with obviously the survival part. Personally, you can just join a PvP server, work on your equipment, buildings, level your dinosaurs, and adventure while figuring out the game. But this game also allows you the ability to basically throw dinosaurs into battle, get on a T-Rex, call over a pack of dinos, and go to town on unsuspecting players' bases. PvP does happen in Ark, especially on those servers, but unlike the other games on this list, Ark is not based around the PvP. While you can get the best out of it and create really fun raiding and PvP experiences on some servers, it's few and far between. On others, you join at a terrible time while everybody has dragons and you're stuck in a corner with a raptor trying to escape the monstrous dragon that's setting your tiny base on fire. Probably a little too specific there, but yeah. If you're expecting fair and interesting PvP on a consistent basis, I wouldn't recommend Ark. But if you don't mind biding your time, building resources, launching your own attacks in a survival game with PvP elements, then by all means, give Ark a try. I'd probably recommend also looking at honorable mention Rust if Ark's not your cup of tea, but both are a survival playstyle. These kind of games are usually best played in groups also, so bring a couple friends. Here's one of my personal favorites. Before For Honor even existed, I had so much fun in Dark Souls. I would spend multiple hours a day creating scenarios, making PvP happen, and spending a lot of my time in the first Dark Souls forest area. Permanently invaded, and it was a blast. The thing about Dark Souls is there's almost no way of getting into the PvP areas or being in consistent PvP without either invading, being invaded, or knowing the dedicated PvP spots in which game. However, that doesn't take any fun away from the game itself. If you enjoy the PvE part of Dark Souls and want to expand your horizons and get into some of the more PvP, I'd suggest any of the Dark Souls. 1, 2, and 3. Get used to the mechanics, get some really fun 1v1 experiences. You've already got a whole game to play through on the side if you really wanted the PvE experience as well, so you may as well do that. But if you didn't really enjoy fighting through the story, then there isn't much of a point of going back into the game to use the exact same combat systems to fight other players, because not much will change from that, other than actually just being somebody that has your entire moveset, or based on the weapon, of course. There is some downtime between invading, being invaded, and generally making fun PvP situations, but the tools are there for it, so it's worth looking into, especially the amount of videos on YouTube that highlight the insane and funny scenarios or epic PvP battles that can happen in this game, and how far some good dedication and skill can go quite a long way. Not the only reason to pick up Dark Souls, since as I mentioned, the base game is generally fun and engaging with some really fun bosses, so as a package, Dark Souls is a pretty good series. We've come to the shooter category. I've kept these games together since, although different, the base idea is the ability to, well, shoot. Rainbow Six is definitely a tactical style shooter. Running and gunning usually doesn't work here. You've got to learn the game. Well, I mean, you could make running and gunning work, but that's besides the point. The maps, you got to learn the maps and a few other things to get into the game. The game has an array of operators, each with their own gadgets, guns, and general playstyle. It's usually updated often and has its own esports scene. Generally one of my favorite go-to tactical shooters for those of you that are looking for a more tactical approach to gun-based games, even though I suck at it. Overwatch has a lot going on. The game has a different art style and it's very vibrant. Not everybody in the game uses projectiles, but the game's characters are very unique. It's described as a team-based shooter, and it is. The advantages it has to an MMORPG player, for example, is that there are an array of PvP characters to choose from, all with their different roles, from unique healers, interesting and different DPS playstyles, and weird and wonderful tanks. It was definitely one of my more go-to games during some MMORPG droughts, or while waiting for lockouts. Another advantage to Overwatch is the ability to easily get stuck into the combat. There isn't much of a downtime and there is a lot going on, a small variety of skills, all the way to ultimates that can change the tides of battle very quickly. It's unlikely that you haven't already heard of Overwatch, but if you haven't, it may be worth taking a peek at. So here's another game. It's actually brand new, believe it or not, and it has a lot of hype behind it. This is Riot's free-to-play FPS game. The game seems fun, somewhat tactical, with a combination of vibrant and interesting skills and abilities like Overwatch, but combined with the layout and style, general combat of a game like Counter-Strike. The downsides is currently Valorant is only playable via getting keys, which are drops from Twitch streams, which have their drops enabled at the moment, so entering it is harder than expected. The good news is, well, it's gonna be free. Definitely worth keeping an eye on this game, especially with Riot's track record of dumping quite a lot of money into their games to elevate them to a higher level. I expect to see wonderful things from Valorant in general, although right now I've been playing it and it does feel extremely similar to Counter-Strike with small differences and a skin. Also, small warning, there is a whole weird scandal going around about Valorant's anti-cheat being basically a rootkit. I thought you viewers would appreciate the warning and look into it to see whether things change or whether you're willing to take that risk. Up to you. This game is interesting. It's like a battle royale first-person shooter mixed with horror elements. The aim of the game is usually to buy characters, or hunters as they're called in the game, to use them to recover bounties in the map, versus other players that are also trying to do the exact same thing. The bounties are scary and creepy monster bosses basically, and the game sort of guides players towards clues to where they can find the bounty spots, kill it, and extract from the area. It's definitely unique in its own way. There's zombies and other horror elements littered around the map. It's often a tense and thrilling environment. Instead of constant shooting, the style is also quite old. Weapon-wise, of course, it's set in the 1890s, so it does have a revolver Wild West rifle style going on. If you enjoy the thrill of the hunt while being hunted by other players or hunting whoever may have the bounty, this could be an interesting game for you. A few honorable mentions I've left off the list are the Battle Royale genre, games like Apex Legends, Call of Duty Battle Royale, PUBG, and Escape from Tarkov may be worth checking out. Also, another thing that I did leave off was fighting game genre. It may be a good time for that. Tekken 7 is often a good one I go for. There's a new Mortal Kombat floating around somewhere. Injustice 2 are all great considerations. That's my top 10 list pretty much completed. If you've got any questions, suggestions, comments, or general feedback, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll be replying to everybody. If this type of MMO alternative style list sounds like a good idea to you, let me know and I'll speed up production on the other videos. Got a few ideas already set up, but happy to hear more. Let me know what kind of MMORPG player you are. I stream on Twitch. My socials to Twitch and Twitter in general are going to be in the description down below. Yeah, I mean, if you've enjoyed the content thus far, feel free to follow. Subscribe if you can, would help a lot. Comment, it helps a lot more than you think it does. And finally, a big thank you to everybody who's watched this video and supported me thus far. And as always, I've been Malicious, and this has been a pleasure.